Welcome again. This is Art of Poetry, and sitting with me is Gemma Mathewson, and she's my co-executive producer, and I'm her co-executive producer, and we are a team. We really are.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and thank you.
And here we are, October 18th, and this is a show basically of celebration. Yeah, celebrating October 8th, celebrating the change of season, celebrating the beauty of New England and the voices of New England, the native voices, indigenous poems.
Yes, today.
Out of the land.
Out of the land.
The hearts of the people who were the first. On my way here, I took that lovely shortcut to celebrate the leaves, which is a little road right behind the Stuart B. McKinney National Nature Preserve. Down the road, what a gift. What a cause of celebration to be in Westbrook. And here we are celebrating this wonderful, wonderful beginning of the real colors.
Absolutely.
And speaking of colors, I think today we'll be talking a lot about emotional colors and the coloring of emotion in poetry and native natural voices. So, got a poem from a wonderful poet, Joy Harjo. She was our National Poet Laureate for the last 3 years. We have a new one now. And Joy Harjo has many, many, many books out there in the library for you, right here in Westbrook.
I recommend this one, Poet Warrior, which I will be reading from today. It's her memoir, her second memoir. And we'll get to that soon.
Aren't memoirs wonderful to go with poetry?
Her memoir is wonderful because, well, it's a very interesting story, her story, but also because she takes poems that she's written and other poets she admires and how they influenced her poetic vision.
That's wonderful, because the mentoring comes through. Isn't that important?
Absolutely.
And that's so worth celebrating. In my rambling reading of this book, I have discovered from some native voices that they count Walt Whitman as a mentor. Who knew? But you know, the long-legged lines of Whitman that they celebrate is the freedom to breathe, to open up the line. And that's what we've got for you today.
And the title of that book is?
The title of that book is Dawnland Voices. And what a title, because they're all New England native voices.
Right.
And
regional voices of the Northeast.
Regional voices of the Northeast. And there's so many tribes just native, indigenous to New England that I was shocked. I've learned a lot. Thank you, Gemma. Really. I mean, you have championed this topic. Thank you.
Welcome.
Oh, yeah. And what does Joy Harjo have to say? Well, we're celebrating most of all family in the native cultures and earth and the values that come from native cultures. For Earth's grandsons, Joy Harjo. And I believe it comes from Poet Warrior, which is in the Guilford Library and the Westbrook Library. Stand tall, no matter your height, how dark your skin. Your spirit is all colors within. You are made of the finest woven light from the iridescent love that formed your mothers, fathers, your grandparents, all the way back on the spiral road. There is no end to this love. It has formed your bodies, feeds your bright spirits. And no matter what happens in these times of breaking, no matter dictators, the heartless, and liars, no matter, you are born. You are born of those who kept ceremonial embers burning in their hands all the way to sunrise. You will make it through. It's such a personal poem for me because I have 2 new great-grandsons. And this little family is besieged on all sides by all kinds of conditions of trouble. But I sent him this poem. You will make it through.
That's wonderful.
And how about?
Well, when you showed me that poem, it got me diving through files and files that I've kept over the years. And at one point, I visited the Taos Pueblo in New Mexico, which is still a living pueblo where Native people live, and there's a part of it where it's open to visitors to share in the understanding of what goes on in a pueblo and the kinds of crafts and observations that Native people do in pueblos, the pueblo cultures.
Is it real life? I mean, are they still living there?
Some people are.
That's wonderful to know that.
Yeah. In other pueblos, it's much less open to the public, though. So this has a open aspect and a living aspect.
Sure. Beautiful you visited there.
Right. I visited there 3 times over the years. But the first time I visited, there are some places where you can buy pottery or weavings or baskets. And in one place, a woman was selling her own pottery, but also her father's poems.
Wow.
And I got this poem called Hummingbirds because it resonated with me at the time, and it was just like similar to the poem that you just read, because the aspect of family connections and how they go backward and forward and how that is all so important.
And celebrating the love.
To a living culture.
Oh, yeah.
So this is called Hummingbirds. Hummingbirds hovering close to their grandpa, fluttering their wings of admiration, they circle, teasing and taunting for his attention. Their presence, pure joy, grandfather's spirit dancing as they nudge at him, seeking the saged nectar. With the tender touch of the beak, they express their elation, celebrating in the union for the moment. Suddenly they dart away, disappearing into womanhood, memories of granddaughters, the spring of his thoughts forever. And that's by Howard T. Rayner, A Taos Pueblo Creek.
Oh, that's a beauty. I'm glad that caught your eye.
Yeah.
By the way, is the tapestry rug from one of your trips?
No, this actually was my mother's.
Oh,
It was from one of my mother's trips, and this is from the Navajo Nation.
Oh.
This is a Navajo rug.
Southwest.
Yeah, Southwest, but the Taos Pueblo people and the Navajo people are different cultures.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Of which there are many in the Southwest and all over the United States.
Wow, do we have some numbers of tribes to get acquainted with?
Right.
Especially New England, which is our focus today. How wonderful. And I can't not finish this little section without another poem excerpt from Poet Warrior. But the thing is, she writes the poem and then she also includes the associations.
Right, right.
She almost does a memoir interspersed with the poetry, or the poetry is interspersed with the memoir. What a beautiful hybrid. I didn't think of that. Poet Warrior, in the name of the book, gave birth to 2 children and acquired more children along the way through association, marriage, and love. Those children gave birth to children. There were more and more story bringers in her world. That's what matters. They became her fiercest teachers of how there is no end to love, and of how it plants itself deeper than earth or sky. We're talking about some of the deepest emotions and the coloring of those emotions through family, through native tribe, and through culture. What a gift the native nations have given us culturally, and values, and traditions. And all of it goes back, doesn't it? Well, I'm really glad to be celebrating this. And the timing's good.
Yeah,
it's Indian summer.
And it's October is the month of Indigenous Peoples Day. We should celebrate it all the time, but
we should. And glad you brought that up, because we're celebrating October 12th. It's Indigenous Peoples Day.
That's right.
That's a beautiful thing. You know, we grow as a composite culture too, by assimilating, don't we? But also respecting the differences.
I'll read a little bit of more about Joy Harjo and how she became a poet.
Great.
And this is one, she refers to herself as Poet Warrior, but these poems explain her process, so I thought that would be interesting to read a little bit of.
And why the memoir is so riveting as well.
Girl Warrior began to notice she was different. When asked a question, even a simple question, maybe about a pine tree in memory, she could not respond in a straight line. She might see a pine tree, then a row of pine trees, then the history of pine trees, or from the point of view of a pine tree, or the dream of a pine tree far from the earth and sky, all upon being asked the question. By then, she did not know how to respond. She had lost in an eternity of pine trees herself. Her instinct was to build in circles when asked a question. She might lose the beginning and then the ending. She might even have the start of a painting or a poem, but no easy yes or no response.
How beautiful.
And she's very divergent in her artistic expression too. She started out as a visual artist, and she also plays saxophone, jazz saxophone, and
I love that.
and native flute. So she does see, in many aspects, how expression is multi-inclusive.
It is. And what a natural poetic thing to do, to express something from the point of view of the pine tree. I mean, that's what poets do, They do. They have the capacity of such a powerful imagination to get inside and have another's point of view expressed with emotional coloring. She's a winner, a wonder, isn't she? I mean, I didn't know about her at all. Didn't pay attention to the national news on poet laureate. I didn't really get it until now. And then she was 3 years in tandem poet laureate of the country. You know,
Amazing. What have you got from the native nations of our area?
Of our area, New England.
The Downland Voices. I'd like to hear more.
Oh, Dawnland Voices. And
Dawnland Voices, excuse me, yes.
we are Dawnland, aren't we? The sun comes up, you know, in the east, and here we are. And that's also their sensitivity to the natural cycles of life. And that's a gift from Native nations to us, you know? I mean, we celebrate the seasons in New England. Even people on the street say, oh yeah, I wouldn't live anywhere else, the changes. So there are some heartrending and traumatic feelings in here, expressed really, really well, both in narrative and in poetry. But you know, as is my wont, I like to go back to the sort of daily preoccupations of Native people. So here we are in the land of the Mohegans, Connecticut. Right. And Sharon Maynard was born in 1953. And here's a little intro, just a quick one. Sharon Maynard's Mohegan name is Accomack, which means, quote, long view across the water. Living in close proximity to Long Island Sound all her life has given her an appreciation for the sea. That's us. Don't you almost gaze every other day across the Sound from Guilford or, oh, it's so beautiful to feel this. Before serving on the tribe councils of elders, you'll know about that too as we go. Long Island Sound, a longing, something primal without definition, the wide expanse and far-off horizons scape ever-changing, predictable yet unpredictable, ebb and flow, tides low and high, rhythmic, timeless, witness to all of time, from the very beginning extending into the future, yet always present, waves breaking, the breath of the giant beast, sometimes gentle as in sleep, sometimes labored as in anger or passion. Ooh, the sea, often peaceful, but never at peace in this place of eternity. Begins an adventure, a journey into waters unfamiliar. A journey into waters familiar yet uncharted. 2010. What were you doing in 2010? Were you gazing across Long Island Sound and feeling the beast?
I go to Hammonasset, the place where we dig holes in the ground. And
good title, yeah.
And I do gaze across the sea. I want to go back to Joy Harjo for one more minute. Well, I mean, I could go on forever.
The whole show.
The whole show.
She's going to bracket the whole show, no question about it.
But, so she starts out with the struggle of, you know, where I'm seeing in so many directions at once.
Yeah.
And because a lot of indigenous people have experienced systemic eradication attempts.
Exactly.
By, unfortunately, I have to say, the United States government over the years with the continuing breaking of the treaties.
Us.
No treaty has ever been kept consistently.
Us.
And all the fallout from all those things, culturally, and losing their culture, and losing their education, and losing their connections among their people.
What losses? Losses upon losses. Losses upon losses of losses.
So
territorially.
So she said she needed to choose, or she felt she must choose how she would be able to, strike back. But she says, Poet Warrior reached for a gun. She was given a paintbrush, a saxophone, a pen. These will be your instruments of power, the old ones said.
Wow.
Though the gun gleamed and pranced as a tool of takeover
What an image.
by governments, even as it danced through the imaginations of revolutionaries as the perfect tool for social change. Don't be fooled, they told her. Violence might be louder, tougher, and is often good-looking. The power of insight and compassion is fiercely humble and helpful. Be ready for what the story of your age demands. You will be tested. There will always be jealousy, envy, but the most difficult enemies will be from your closest circle, even your family. You must act in a manner that will cause no harm to anyone, 7 generations back or forward.
Wow.
So she's choosing peace. She's choosing the weapons of peace.
Intentionally choosing.
And she rose to the highest possible, poetic validation she could by choosing those weapons. And I think she is making an impact.
And her journey.
And not the only one, but one of many.
One of many. And her journey has been a long, laborious one.
That's correct.
Oh, my goodness. I'm so glad you read that one. That's so seminal, so central to her own nature and also her tribe's wisdom. Mm-hmm. You see, the wisdom that we've been given, but we don't take. Wow.
Right, exactly.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
Oh, this is so beautiful that we have found her through you and also through national recognition. Joy Harjo, Harjo, girl warrior, poet warrior, and just probably the most important poet I think I've read in the last 10 years, because she speaks to me too.
And let's hear another Dawnland voice.
Don't you love it when we have in Connecticut the Pequots, and the Mohegans, and the natural tribes. Jane Fawcett is a lifelong resident of Uncasville and a grandmother of 6. Wow. She received her undergraduate degree from the University of Connecticut and a 5th-year degree from Eastern Connecticut State University. Wow, maybe she and I were on campus at the same time, 80 to 85. I worked at Eastern Connecticut State University. I was the sort of go-to person for beginning freshmen who needed extra help.
Oh.
For a good 5 years, productive. She has served as vice chair of the Mohegan Tribal Council and chair of the Mohegan Council of Elders. I need to know more about how governance works in Native circles. I'd love to. Homeland. This is kind of an epigraph, an explanation for the poem to come. As a child, I heard my father's mother talking about, quote, going back to Canady, end quote, whenever things went wrong. Canady was her homeland. Where was mine? I knew the Irish could go back to Ireland, the English to Great Britain, and the blacks had a whole continent. Where was my home, my safe place? And the poem. Where is my world, my kingdom come, the home my lineage could claim as own? for all their little whiles and passing sake. Your oyster, son, this is the heritage I give. Bear it before you like a shield. It will protect, oh precious someday ones, from all of the sneering spears you feel. You're not alone. Where is my home? 100 years ago, I searched with ancient kin the way to know, but it was lost, and I lost too in pathless woods unknown, wherein an owl cried, and finally the lonely wolf replied, pretend. My kingdom is, I find, pretending in quiet woodlands of my mind. The culture withdrew for survival into the safe harbor of their culture and their children. 7 generations forward and 7 generations back.
Yeah.
Peace. Peace and love. Love and peace. Well, we're back to the 60s. Thank God, you know?
And I think an important thing as we're talking today about Native cultures is that we want to be not part of bringing forward all the erroneous mythology that's in the popular culture,
yes.
but to help dispel some of it. And,
the cigar store Indian.
Right. And hopefully we will do that today. And if there are things that we don't get right, we'll be happy to know about it and correct it.
You bet. We'll be right on the beam for November.
But a poem that I found helpful, and it has humor.
Oh.
It's by Anita Andreze. She is a Yaqui, Pima, and Maya, as well as half European Native person.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
The intermarriage that went on.
And the poem is in a kind of a spoof on a poem you and many people are familiar with. It's called 13 Ways of Looking at an Indian.
Oh my gosh.
And again, you're going to...
There's the poem.
The humor here is, it's ways you're looking at an Indian.
Yeah, right.
Among 20 Indians, only one has skin as coppery as a penny, and she sprayed it on. Number 2, if you're a half-breed, you're always of 2 minds, but your heart is red.
Wow.
Number 3, coyote whirls and dust devils grinning in the heart of our stories. Number 4, a man and a woman, or a man and a man, or a woman and a woman, are one. A human and a coyote are trouble. Number 5, I don't know which I prefer, Native American, Indian, skins, or sly innuendos from coyote as he saunters down the street whistling, yo mamacita, you bad, honey.
Oh.
Number 6, I grew up half white, but coyote's shadow is a moody, dark twin to mine. Number 7, oh non-native Indians, why do you exterminate coyote? Hang his pelt on barbed wire, string his ears on your belts. Do you not see how coyote is part of this land? The dreaming and scheming of thought into existence? Without coyote, America would be a reservation of flat jokes and fizzled life. Number 8, I grew up in Southern California where rivers are cement troughs and coyotes sang from the Hollywood Hills. My aunts wouldn't say they were Yaqui because that meant death or slavery in Sonora. So they were Mexican with indigenous rhythm. Number 9, when conquistadors came, or the priests, or the pilgrims, or Walmart, we ran away. We ran in circles from death in one land to death in another, and coyote was always there holding our souls in the depth of his howl.
Whoa.
10, At the smell of smudged sage at the powwow, the white cop sniffed sharply, looking for some Indian smoking weed. Number 11, I tried riding a canoe and almost tipped over. Horses scare me. My car has scars along its flanks from spatial misjudgments as I back out of a garage. My kind of Indian is self-defined. It's whatever I do, however I do it. I'm not scared of who I am. Number 12, fry bread is a recent tradition. Corn is an older part of my DNA. Corn is sacred. Pollen flying into a world turned golden, like coyote's fur. 13, today lasted centuries. Coyote sits next to me, whispering promises of survival. Mañana. It is tomorrow, and it will always be tomorrow. Stars shine all day forever, and we don't see them. Our souls, whether white or Indian or other, shine even longer. There are more than 13 ways of seeing anyone.
Oh.
And that's what we should remember when we talk about all the beautiful people in the world.
Oh, amen.
Yeah.
Oh, what a perfect time to take a break and to shed a tear, but also to share a laugh, because it's all the emotions that are coloring, but also the safe space is withdrawing into the imagination and the mind. What a great reminder.
Yeah, that coyote trickster.
Oh, and boy, what an identification. Yeah, we'll be back in 4 minutes. Take a break.
Okay.
Wow.
Smart TVs and streaming services have taken over the television industry. VSC TV is proud to announce our presence on Apple TV and Roku to make watching your favorite shows even easier. You can access this service by downloading the Cablecast ScreenWeave app. Then choose Valley Shore Community TV from the list of channels. Select VSC TV Live to watch our channel in full HD. Or pick a show from our on-demand video library. VSC TV is your local Connecticut Mid-Shore Valley digital connection.
Scammers are taking advantage of increased flight cancellations with a new con. Better Business Bureau Scam Tracker has received multiple reports of scammers creating fake airline ticket booking sites or customer service numbers to charge travelers for rescheduling fake flights. If you are buying airfare, use caution and double-check the URL or phone number before providing your credit card information. In many cases, victims are finding out that the airlines don't even have a record of the flights they've booked on third-party sites. These scammers often tell the victims their flights have been canceled and offer to rebook them for a fee. If you come across a company you haven't dealt with before, look at bbb.org for reviews and feedback from previous customers. Confirm the URL before you enter personal and payment information. It can be easy to click on a sponsored ad or imposter website without even noticing. Be wary of third-party websites. Some websites appear to offer a legitimate service but are only fronts for a scam. Be suspicious of websites with no working customer service number or physical address. Make online purchases with your credit card so that you can dispute fraudulent charges.
Information is power, especially in times of uncertainty.
In the age of 24/7 breaking news headlines, viral tweets, and social media rumors, we all need to take extra steps to verify information before accepting and sharing what we read online.
Whether inaccurate information is purposely posted to deceive or defraud individuals or shared unknowingly by people who believe it's true, misinformation can be dangerous.
Is there a vaccine?
Are certain blood types immune?
Are additional stimulus checks coming?
When will we open back up?
Questions are expected,
and they deserve accurate answers.
We need you to rely on information from official sources and credible subject matter experts.
For both Connecticut-specific information and federal resources, visit ct.gov/news. /coronavirus.
You matter.
You matter.
You matter.
And your words matter too.
Your words matter.
What you say in the hallways at school or in the student section at a game matters.
Words can be hurtful.
Words can be offensive.
Words can leave scars.
Words can also inspire.
Support.
And uplift.
You and your words.
Are they both important?
As a matter of fact, yes.
Community TV, your neighborhood TV.
Publicly funded and a reliable partner for cable companies nationwide, it provides transparent coverage of local and state government, education, and public programming.
A digital town green that can be watched anywhere, anytime, and on any device.
Watch us on today's high-tech distribution methods.
Community TV in Connecticut.
Local,
unfiltered,
reliable, and yours.
Okay.
Welcome back. This is Gemma Mathewson, co-producer, executive co-producer.
And this is Frank Crowley, producer.
Co-producer. So glad we're back at it today because we are having the best show ever, the most fun and the most sadness too, all wrapped into one. Isn't that the human experience? Oh yeah, sadness before joy. Well, who knew that the Pequots were going to be so prosperous? Oh, it's a wonderful thing in Connecticut. I've been there once or twice, right? Mohegan Sun. Let's just jump over the border for a minute to Rhode Island. John Christian Hopkins, born 1960. That's 20 years after me. An award-winning journalist, John Christian Hopkins, has worked around the United States reporting on Indian sovereignty issues, such as the infamous police raid on the Narragansett Smoke Shop, which he covered in August 2003 for the Pequot Times. This is the 21st century. This is America. He has published 3 novels. Here's what his narrative says. His reporting. Troopers lead attack on Narragansett Reservation. Charleston, Rhode Island. 20 Rhode Island state troopers, backed by snarling police dogs, stormed the Narragansett Indian Tribes Reservation July 14th, 2003, knocking elders, women, and children to the ground as they attempted to shut down the tribe's newly opened tax-free smoke shop. What's going on? Quote, it was like something you'd see in Mississippi back in the 60s, end quote. Narragansett Chief Sachem Matthew, quote, Seven Hawk, end quote, Thomas said of the frightening melee, Thomas and several other tribal members were dragged away in handcuffs and faced a variety of charges, including assault, resisting arrest, and disorderly conduct. What? That's it? What? Was this in the news? How was it covered? Down the road is Mohegan Sun, which is going on at the same time. What's going on? The coyotes are running amok, behind guard dogs. This is the saddest thing. And on and on and on and on and on. Sometimes I wish I could rage like you. Ella Wecox Sakatu, Narragansett. Sometimes I wish I could rage like you and scatter my hurts like your rain. But oh no, humans can't do those things. Afraid we'll be called not sane. Well, I don't care a bit what others think. When you come from your distant reign, I'll soar on your mighty wild winds and tell not a soul where my thoughts have lain. Wow. Oh, Storm King, where did you come from with raging winds and pouring rain? Like my innermost thoughts and turmoil, my soul must fly with you again. What would that I could always be free to exhaust myself without disdain from my daily cares and human woes. I must go forth to escape the pain. Wow. And on and on and on and on
and on. A writer who's known for her many works of fiction, Louise Erdrich, is also a poet. Mm-hmm. And she's written some really good poems that I'd, again, like to read all day. But this one in particular I want to read because it talks about one of the ways that Native people, indigenous people, have been marginalized. It was a government policy to take Native children and put them in boarding schools. With the slogan, "Kill the Indian, save the man."
Oh, that hurt.
And they were not allowed to visit their families, communicate with their families, speak their native tongue, or leave. But they often tried to leave and go home, and this is a poem about that.
Canada too.
And Canada too.
Oh, worse.
This is called Indian Boarding School, The Runaways by Louise Erdrich. Home's a place we head for in our sleep. Boxcars stumbling north in dreams don't wait for us. We catch them on the run. The rails, old lacerations that we love, shoot parallel across the face and break just under Turtle Mountains. Riding scars, you can't get lost. Home is the place they cross.
Wow.
The lame guard strikes a match and makes the dark less tolerant. We watch through the cracks in the boards as the land starts rolling. Rolling till it hurts to be here, cold and regulation close. We know the sheriff's waiting at mid-run to take us back. His car is dumb and warm. The highway doesn't rock, it only hums like the wing of long insults.
Wow.
The worn down welts of ancient punishments lead back and forth. All runaways wear dresses, long green ones, the color you would think shame was. We scrub the sidewalks down because it's shameful work. Our brushes cut the stone in watered arcs, and in the soak, frail outlines shiver clear a moment. Things us kids pressed on in the dark face before it hardened, pale, remembering delicate old injuries, the spines of names and leaves. So what an image. The children are scrubbing the floors, made to do that as punishment, and they're leaving their own little signals of what they remember, even as ephemeral as that is, until it dries out again. So
even as ephemeral, but it is still identity.
Right, identity, remembering. It's refusing to. It's resistance, is what it is.
It's resistance. Yeah. It's dissidence. It's resistance. It's unfortunately the 60s over and over and over and over.
And now, in a hopeful way, native languages are being preserved in different areas, in different schools that are in the communities where the children live. And that's a hopeful thing.
That is a hopeful thing. That is really a return to Yeah, homeschooling.
Right. Well, community schooling.
That's it.
Yeah.
Community schooling. But the preservation
right.
of language. And that becomes a preoccupation with the more current poems that I have encountered. Yeah. That's such a hopeful sign. But, you know, as she said, you will make it through. That's the most unbelievable thing of all, that they are making it through, that they are getting recognition, that the Pope came to Canada to personally apologize to those Native nations who had gone through the horrors of schooling under duress and punishment and pain. What a coyote thing to do, just you know. What do you know about a more general background of our tribes in this country?
Well, if people are interested, and I hope you all are, in a more realistic and very well researched history of indigenous people. It is called An Indigenous People's History of the United States by Roxanne Dunbar Ortiz. And I think it's about 500 pages, but the last 200 pages are documentation.
Oh!
So this is well-researched history.
Yeah.
And it talks about the pre.
Yeah.
I mean, when people from Europe landed here, they didn't know what they were looking at.
They didn't.
They didn't recognize that the land was well managed and well harvesting and hunting and
organized
and organized. They didn't see it because it wasn't to their style.
It wasn't their organization.
They said savages, and then what they were became exploiters and ruiners of the land, which is basically what we have today, which is very, very sad.
Into the 21st.
And just as a quick example, Buffalo in upstate New York is called Buffalo because there were buffalo there.
There were?
They were migrating. The buffalo migrated seasonally, and their range reached Buffalo.
Yeah.
At one point.
Yeah.
And sadly, they were practically decimated on purpose. But anyway, the ancestors of Native Americans came here by estimation between 30,000 and 15,000 years ago.
Holy
cow. So they've been living on this land a very long time.
And farming. And organizing.
Today there are approximately 573 federally recognized tribal governments. And some have reservations that are lands reserved for them, and some aren't. So there's 326 reservations that U.S. recognizes as having sovereignty. But our term sovereignty falls short because they're still taxed and so on by our government and have to have their own tribal laws, but also have to obey the laws of
federal government.
The federal government.
This overall, you know.
So those are just some of the facts.
Powerful facts.
Yeah.
Wow.
But please do read the Indigenous People's History of the United States. It was, and also it talks about Central and South America, pre and post-European.
Pre-Columbian.
Yeah. Oh. There you go.
Yeah. Pre-indigenous is what we want to say.
Yeah.
Pre-indigenous. Yeah. Wow, we've got 5 minutes, so we're going to have to be back here after Thanksgiving.
Oh, you bet.
And celebrate because you are primed. But
only scraping the surface here.
I will save this. Donna Loring, The Dark Ages of Education and a New Hope, Teaching Native American History in Maine Schools. In 2001, I authored legislation that required all public schools in Maine to teach Maine Indian history. Yes, yes, long time coming, but she succeeded. Oh, you know, so from Maine to Connecticut, wow. Nick Bare, listen, Native voices are as divergent and as far-ranging and as stylistically different as you'd imagine. Now, here's Nick Bare. Born 1985, okay. He's still in his prime. A proud father of 3 girls, Nick Bare has been involved in writing, acting, and performing for many years. He grew up on Indian Island, that's in Maine, but identifies with all 4 of the main Wabanaki nations. Of his poetry, he writes, quote, "I like to create images with my writing that showcase my heritage and the things it has taught me. Or imagine through my writing the things I could show others. To keep my people living well and strong for our future generations is one of the biggest reasons for doing what I do, because I feel that I have the voice and ability to do my ancestors justice." These are Nick Bare's first published poems. So what do you expect? He grew up in hip-hop. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh. Dry funk. Angry at the world, thirsty for juice I can't have, alcoholic, one word that makes me feel like getting trashed. Family doesn't help, and if they did, I'd know it. In my face from all sides, those sons of bitches would throw it. I'm not pissed at them, I'm just pissed with friends who don't give a shit about me or themselves, so they'll drink to the end. Of every bottle, goddamn, I miss that the most tipping up a jug seeing who could chug till its ghosts saying, expurgated, it and expurgated and extricated and expurgated. Every got in the way and wanted to. My mouth is filthy from all the drink it sipped on, liquor in my bloodstream, so even when I'm dead, it lives on. Wow, and gladly.
Okay.
Hope you have a hopeful one.
I have some hopeful ones in this. I'm going to just read part of it, and maybe I'll pick it up next time we...
Oh, good, but let me introduce with his other poem, Gladly, with two lines.
Okay.
Just so I can continue in November.
Sure.
Gladly. Put your heart in the sky, let it fly and sing sweet songs like a lullaby. Arms open, life is water, gotta jump in and feel it the way it was meant to be felt. Melt body and mind and spirit. This guy is doing hip hop.
Absolutely.
He's cool.
Oh yeah.
He's really cool. So his name is Nick Bare. 1 minute.
Okay. Suzanne Harjo. Welcome home, human beings. I'll just read an excerpt from it.
Good.
Today we welcome home beloved living beings. We, their many relatives, have known them all their lives. We, their many relatives, have missed them all our lives. We feed their memory with sacred foods. We nourish their memory with sacred waters. We keep them in our circles. We seek them in the dark places. We sing the songs they sing. We dance the dances they dance. We pray the prayers they pray. We dream the dreams they dream. Tomorrow, after we welcome home our beloved beings, it will be as if they never left us, their many relatives. It will be as if they never left home or us. It will be as if they never left. It will be as if they never. It will be as if. It will be. It will be as if there were no yesterday. It will be tomorrow.
Wow. And on that note of hope, but there's an image that you read that I can't get out of my mind from one of your poems on the darker side. train tracks, rails as lacerations
That's pretty powerful stuff. Oh,
in the earth. And sure, the Puritans said, we'll take your corn. We'll learn about the corn. We need that. We need food. We need your organization. After all, after marauding. Oh, it's such a mixed story, isn't it? So, thank you, Gemma.
you're welcome. Thank you, Frank.
This is the most painful and the most enjoyable show I've had in 6 years. Wow. And the most meaningful to me.
Good.
And the most, I think, affirming overall of the hope that lives in all of our hearts for better times, better days. Yeah, that never dies, along with the love for family. And the earth keeps changing its seasons, thankfully. Well, see you in November. Thank you very, very, very much for joining us today. It makes my heart fill with joy and gratitude. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Chris. Wow. I have to have a deep breath now. And most of all, thank you, Gemma.
Well, we'll do this again, I hope.
Oh, we've got to. I mean, I'm just so, and still reading. And miles to go before I sleep. Yeah. What I loved most of all is that they identified some mentors in the larger culture.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's good to breathe together again. Oh, yeah. Here we go.